Hi Virgo, welcome. Let me ask you something. Have you been feeling like your every move is being watched? Not by people, but by something bigger? Have certain numbers, names, or even songs started repeating, like they're trying to get your attention? And deep down, have you felt like life has been quietly testing you, pushing you, challenging you, asking you to prove something to the universe itself? If so, you're not imagining it. Stay with me, because what you're about to hear isn't just guidance, it's confirmation. And only those who are truly awakening will understand what comes next. Let's get one thing clear right now. This is not just another astrology update or a casual tarot pull. This is your cosmic check-in, and Virgo, you didn't land here by coincidence. You were pulled here because your soul has questions it's been quietly asking, and this space has answers. You've been holding on, haven't you? Holding it together while the world kept spinning, while everyone kept asking for more of you and giving less in return. Has this been true for you, Virgo? But here's the thing. The universe has been watching. Not in a judgmental way, but in that quiet, knowing way. Like a mentor who knows you're about to graduate and just needs to see how you carry yourself in the final exam. And that exam? It started the moment Mercury stepped into Aries. This isn't just an astrological transit, it's a soul checkpoint. Aries energy is fiery, fast, and unapologetic. Combine that with Mercury, the planet that governs your thoughts, speech, and how you process the world. And what do you get? A moment in time where everything you say and do becomes amplified. It's like being handed a microphone in a silent room. Whatever you speak, the universe hears 10 times louder. This is not a time to mumble your truth. It's a time to say what you mean, stand in your beliefs, and draw the line where it needs to be drawn. Virgo, this is your invitation to stop explaining yourself to people who are committed to misunderstanding you. It's your chance to stop performing strength and instead start embodying clarity. Because every time you choose your peace over their approval, the universe takes note. Every time you decide to stay instead of run, to listen instead of react, to breathe instead of break, you're proving something, not just to the world, but to the higher intelligence that governs it all. Think of Mercury in Aries like spiritual bootcamp. You're not being punished, you're being refined. Every miscommunication, every emotional flare-up, every sudden confrontation isn't random, it's curated. Like a training sequence in a movie where the hero doesn't know they're being prepared for something greater. That's you. And yeah, it's exhausting. But you didn't come here to play small or stay stuck. You came here to evolve. And evolution isn't always glamorous. Sometimes it looks like crying in your car because your boundaries were tested. Sometimes it feels like being the only one in the room who sees the storm before it hits. But that doesn't mean you're broken. It means you're awake. And when you're awake during a shift like this, you don't just survive it, you lead through it. So if people are falling out of your life, let them. If your routines are crumbling, let them. If you're being asked to pause when you'd rather push forward, pause. Not because you're weak, but because divine timing is more precise than any plan you could ever draft. And the irony? The more you trust that, the more magnetic you become, because clarity attracts. Alignment attracts. Power, not the kind that dominates, but the kind that radiates, attracts. And Virgo, whether you feel it or not, you're radiating differently now. So don't dim your light because others are squinting. Don't lower your standards just because someone else isn't ready to rise. Mercury in Aries is not here to coddle your old self. It's here to crown your next level. Let that level begin with one simple truth. You are not who you were a year ago, a month ago, or even a week ago. And that version of you who's still apologizing for outgrowing the room, she doesn't exist anymore. You might have noticed it too, your energy shifting in subtle ways. Maybe you're more tired than usual, or maybe you've started questioning things you used to just accept. These aren't random moods. They're part of the inner calibration that starts when Mercury moves into Aries. This is cosmic fire lighting up your thoughts, your words, and your will to act. You're being asked to respond, not react. To listen before speaking, but also to speak when silence used to be your safety net. Think of this like Imagine yourself standing at the base of a mountain, Virgo. You've just completed one of the hardest climbs of your life without even realizing it. That card, the world, signals a major completion. A karmic cycle has come to an end, but instead of celebration, you're staring at yet another uphill path. This is what spiritual growth looks like. It doesn't come with confetti, it comes with choice. And this time, you're not climbing with blind faith, you're climbing with awareness. The Two of Pentacles speaks to your current state, juggling responsibilities, trying to keep everything in balance while still trying to find your footing. It's like spinning plates, walking a tightrope, and solving a Rubik's Cube, emotionally, mentally, energetically, all at once. You're being asked to lighten your load. Imagine a climber trying to scale a cliff with a suitcase full of the past. It doesn't work. The universe is asking you, what are you willing to leave behind to reach higher ground? Old grudges? Perfectionism? The belief that you have to do it all alone? This is not about speed. This is about sustainability. Sometimes the most powerful move is to pause and catch your breath. The mountain isn't going anywhere. Neither is your destiny. Now let's talk about what's happening beneath the surface. As you climb, you're not just gaining altitude, you're activating something deep within your energetic DNA. The sun has been quietly bathing you in light codes. These aren't just poetic words. There's real science behind it. Just like plants respond to sunlight, your cells do too. You may have felt this recently. Waves of exhaustion, buzzing sensations, strange vivid dreams, moments of clarity that come out of nowhere. These are not random. They are signs of your body syncing with a new energetic frequency. It's like your spirit is updating its operating system. And yes, it can feel glitchy at first, but trust the process. What you're experiencing isn't just a physical shift, it's a soul shift. There's an ancient teaching that says, when the student is ready, the light will enter the cells. This is that moment. You're not just going through a spiritual upgrade. You're stepping into a new operating level of reality where you don't just react, you create. You don't just survive, you synthesize. The solar codes being downloaded into your field are igniting dormant memories, gifts, and clarity about your path ahead. You're not becoming someone else. You're remembering who you really are. And the intensity of the past weeks, it wasn't punishment, it was preparation. It's like an athlete training at high altitude so they can perform better at sea level. You've been in energetic altitude training, Virgo. That headache, that heartbreak, that delay, they were all part of your activation sequence. It's time to stop doubting the timing. You didn't miss anything. You were being prepared for everything. And now, as the mountain path begins to level out and the sun rises just a bit higher, you'll notice something different. You're not who you were at the base. You're stronger, clearer, more aligned. You don't need to carry every lesson like a burden. Some things can be left as footprints in the snow, proof you made it through. If this resonates, type yes in your heart or the comments. Keep going. The summit is not the end. It's the beginning of your next expansion. There's something powerful that happens when you realize that growth isn't always loud. Sometimes it shows up in the most subtle ways, like choosing not to respond to someone who triggered you, or deciding to rest instead of pushing through another burnout. Those are moments of mastery. Virgo, your strength has never been in grand gestures. It's been in your quiet endurance, your ability to keep showing up with integrity, even when no one sees the effort. That's what makes you different. You're not just climbing for yourself. You're climbing for everyone who will follow your footsteps. And yes, it's heavy. Yes, it's tiring. But that weight is sacred. That pressure is transforming you. You're like a diamond being shaped by cosmic forces in the heat you felt lately. That's the universe refining you for leadership. Let's talk about the light again. Have you ever watched sunlight pour through a stained glass window? It looks chaotic until you step back and see the whole picture. That's what your life has felt like, fragments of color, some joyful, some painful. But from a higher perspective, they are forming a masterpiece. And now, the light coming in is illuminating that mosaic. The strange timing, the rejections, the delays, they weren't obstacles, they were alignments. They made you stop, they made you look within, they made you shed what no longer served you. Think of the sun not just as a star, but as a messenger. Every photon of light that touches your skin carries information, and right now, those messages are awakening your original blueprint. You came here for more than just a career or a relationship or a house. You came here to remember your power and use it to raise the frequency of the world around you. That's why it's been so hard. That's why the mountain seemed endless. Because you're not here for the easy path. You're here for the elevated one. And let's not forget, mountains don't rise without pressure from beneath. You, Virgo, have been feeling that pressure. But instead of breaking, you've been crystallizing. And that right there is your miracle. It's not the flashy kind. It's the kind that's earned, that's lived, that's real. So the next time you feel like nothing is changing, pause and listen to your body, the flutter in your chest, the warmth in your palms, the tears that come for no reason. These are all signals. You're not lost. You're aligning. You're not being punished. You're being prepared. The climb isn't over, but the hardest part is. From here, every step you take is a step into embodiment, into power, into peace. Let me tell you a little story that might sound familiar, Virgo. There's this tale about a frog, often overlooked, laughed at, considered too strange to be anything special. And then there's a princess, someone seeking something magical, something pure, but unable to recognize it in its true form. This story isn't about royalty or fairy tales, it's about perception. And right now, the universe is playing a little trick on your eyes. That frog, that's you. Or more accurately, it's how the world may have seen you. Underestimated, misunderstood, maybe even discarded. But what if everything that looked ugly, awkward, or out of place was actually a sacred disguise? The Nine of Cups shows up here for a reason. It's the card of deep wishes finally finding form, but never in the way we expect. Your blessings are arriving, but they're wrapped in lessons, strange timing, and people or situations that don't immediately make sense. And here's the kicker. If you reject the form, you risk rejecting the miracle. Think about this. How many times have you pushed something away because it didn't look how you thought it should? A job that felt too small, a relationship that seemed too complex, an opportunity that showed up when you were exhausted. But what if those were exactly the answers you asked for, just wearing a different face? Virgo, your path right now is not about controlling the packaging. It's about learning to feel the vibration underneath. The magic isn't in the surface, it's in the frequency. So the next time something odd, challenging, or even inconvenient shows up in your life, pause. Ask yourself, what's the energy behind this? Could this be the universe dressing up a blessing in the clothing of contrast? The story of the frog and the princess reminds us that appearances lie. And more importantly, it teaches us humility, the ability to receive without judgment. Your gift may not come dressed in gold. It might come through a detour, a mistake, a heartbreak, or even something that feels like failure. But that doesn't mean it's not sacred. Some of the most profound redirections in life come disguised as disappointments. They strip away our ego's expectations and invite in soul-level transformation. And that's exactly what's happening for you. There's something big on its way, but it needs you to look with the eyes of your heart, not just the logic of your mind. You're not meant to figure everything out right now. You're meant to stay open, to trust that what looks like a no might secretly be the yes you've been waiting for. This is your invitation to soften your gaze, to listen for resonance instead of perfection, and to believe, just for a moment, that maybe, just maybe, the universe knows exactly what it's doing. Let's take this even deeper. Imagine someone gives you a small, unwrapped stone and tells you it's a diamond. You might laugh at first, maybe even toss it aside. But if you took a closer look, really examined it, you'd see the clarity hidden beneath the dust. That's what life is offering you right now. Your task is not to be the critic. It's to be the alchemist, the one who can recognize light inside the darkness, who can find treasure in the trash. Life is funny that way. Sometimes the people who hurt you the most teach you the boundaries you needed to set. Sometimes the job that fell through was the one that would have drained your soul. And sometimes the weird, unexplainable moment that made no sense at the time ends up being the turning point of everything. This moment is sacred, Virgo. The question is, will you recognize it, even in disguise? Have you ever felt like you're standing at the edge of something invisible, Virgo? Like there's a door right in front of you, but it's not made of wood or glass. It's made of energy, of timing, of spiritual readiness. That's where you are right now. The adjustment card shows up when the soul is doing more than reflecting. It's recalibrating. You're not just reviewing the past to feel guilt or regret. You're reviewing it to integrate the lessons, to understand where the false alignments were, and to correct your course. Think of it like tuning an instrument. You're not throwing it away. You're just adjusting the frequency so it plays in harmony again. This is your soul tuning moment, and that doorway in front of you, it responds to your frequency, not your effort. So it doesn't open because you try harder. It opens because you align deeper. The 7,979 sequence is sacred. It's a divine signal that you've completed a chapter that had to end. Not because you failed, but because you outgrew it. And now the new chapter is here, written in the language of vibration, truth, and soul sovereignty. You may notice that people, situations, even habits that once felt comfortable now feel foreign. That's the sign. You've already shifted. And when you walk through this energetic doorway, you won't be the same. You won't just act different. You'll vibrate different. People may say you've changed. Let them, because they're right. The portal you're stepping through doesn't lead to more of the same. It leads to your higher timeline, where your intuition is sharp, your boundaries are clear, and your mission is active. This isn't just about healing anymore. It's about embodying. It's about becoming the guide that others will recognize when it's their turn. And maybe that's why your old life had to collapse the way it did. So you could finally see that you were never meant to blend in. You were meant to step forward and hold the light. And this moment, this gateway, it's the confirmation you've been waiting for. So take a breath, Virgo. Step through. Because what's waiting on the other side isn't just your future. It's your true self, fully awakened. You see, transformation is rarely comfortable. It asks us to leave behind identities we've clung to for years. Roles, titles, relationships, even ways of thinking that once made us feel safe. But when the soul is ready for more, comfort becomes a cage. And Virgo, you've never been someone to settle for less than your truth. That's why this gateway appeared now. Because you're finally willing to walk away from what's familiar in order to step into what's destined. And yes, you might feel alone right now. That's normal. All great transitions begin in solitude. Just like a caterpillar retreats into a cocoon, your spirit needed this pause to transform in peace. When the butterfly emerges, it doesn't apologize for being different. It doesn't ask the caterpillars to understand. It just flies. And that's what you're about to do. Fly, rise, expand. But before you take off, take one last look at how far you've come. You've made decisions no one understood. You've stood in storms no one saw. You've grown roots so deep that now, your branches are ready to stretch into skies you once only dreamed of. The number 7,979 reminds you that you're not just ending a chapter, you're ending a soul contract and beginning a brand new one, written entirely by your higher self. No more playing small, no more second guessing. The door is open. Walk through it as the version of you that knows, deep in your bones, that this is what you came here for. There's a moment that comes in every awakening journey when you realize the people around you don't see the world the same way anymore. Not because they've changed, but because you have. Virgo, you're not being left behind. You're being elevated. And elevation, by its nature, creates distance. If you've felt disconnected lately, like the conversations around you feel surface level, or the things that once excited you now feel empty, that's not depression. It's alignment. You've shifted frequencies. You're no longer satisfied with surviving. Your soul is craving meaning, purpose, and impact. And the reason you're still here, despite everything you've been through, is because you carry something rare. You carry medicine, not the kind found in bottles, but the kind found in presence, wisdom, resilience. In a world that's addicted to speed and chaos, your calm is a revolution. And that's exactly why your path hasn't been easy, because you weren't just being prepared for comfort, you were being prepared for leadership. You've walked through fire so that others can walk through your light, and it's time to accept that role. The mentor, the teacher, the guide. That doesn't mean you have to stand on a stage or write a book. It means showing up fully wherever you are, with integrity, with compassion, with truth. Think back on the pain you've survived, the heartbreaks, the betrayals, the nights you felt invisible. None of that was wasted. Every scar became a map, and now others will find their way through the same shadows by following your footprints. That's sacred. That's service. You weren't meant to live a normal life. You were meant to live an aligned one, and alignment often looks like solitude before it looks like connection. It looks like breaking down before it looks like breakthrough. But Virgo, you didn't come here to play it safe. You came here to hold light in dark places, and now that your inner light is burning stronger than ever, the world needs it, even if they don't say it, even if they don't understand it yet. That nudge you've been feeling, the sense that there's more for you, it's not random. It's your calling getting louder. So say yes. Say yes to being seen. Say yes to being different. Say yes to your sacred assignment, because your life, in its most raw and honest form, is already the teaching someone out there is praying to find. Sometimes your greatest gift is simply your presence in a room. It's the way you listen when others just wait to speak. It's the calm you bring when tension builds. It's the perspective you offer because you've been through the storm, not just studied it. You don't need fancy credentials or validation to prove your worth. Your life is the evidence, and it's enough. You are enough. You've been initiated by experience, and now you are qualified by your ability to hold space, to love deeply, to speak gently, and to act wisely. The world doesn't need more noise, it needs more depth. And you, Virgo, are that depth. Own it, live it, lead with it. Sometimes your greatest gift is simply your presence in a room. It's the way you listen when others just wait to speak. It's the calm you bring when tension builds. It's the perspective you offer because you've been through the storm, not just studied it. You don't need fancy credentials or validation to prove your worth. Your life is the evidence, and it's enough. You are enough. You've been initiated by experience, and now you are qualified by your ability to hold space, to love deeply, to speak gently, and to act wisely. The world doesn't need more noise, it needs more depth. And you, Virgo, are that depth. Own it, live it, lead with it. Think of all the moments you could have given up but didn't. The days you showed up with a smile while holding back tears. The choices you made to forgive instead of seek revenge. Those decisions weren't small. They were signs of spiritual maturity. And now, that maturity is your gift to the collective. In a time when the world feels chaotic and unsteady, your grounded energy is healing. Even if you don't always see the ripple effects, trust that your presence is shifting energy in every room you enter. It's time to stop asking for permission to be powerful. Your soul didn't come here to stay quiet. It came here to remember its truth, and then live that truth out loud. So from this moment on, walk with the knowing that your story matters, that your evolution is valid, and that everything you've overcome has prepared you, not to blend in, but to light the way forward for those still trying to find their path. You're not just surviving anymore, Virgo. You're activating. There's a shift happening inside you, a movement from holding it all together to actually stepping into your full presence. The pain you carried, the weight you thought would never lift, is transforming. It's not just something you got through, it's something that taught you how to see clearly. Every moment that felt like a breakdown, it was a breakthrough in disguise. That's the thing about your journey. It never made sense while it was happening. But now the pieces are starting to fit, and with that clarity comes power. You're no longer asking for permission to shine. You're simply doing it. Quietly, authentically, powerfully. You've stopped explaining your evolution to people who never saw your struggle, and in that choice, you've stepped into something sacred. This is a new season of your life, one where you no longer carry the expectations of others. You're walking lighter, not because life got easier, but because you've grown stronger. Stronger in your boundaries, stronger in your intuition, stronger in your sense of purpose. The delays weren't rejections, they were redirects. Every no led to a deeper yes with yourself. And that's where you are now, living from alignment, not to prove anything to anyone, not to fix what was broken, but to honor the truth you've always known deep down. You were never broken to begin with. Your healing is now your offering. Your presence is now your power. You don't need to shout to be heard. You simply need to show up as you are. And Virgo, that's more than enough. Because you're not the same person who walked into this storm. You're the one who walked out of it with light in your hands. If this message stirred something in you, Virgo, it's not a coincidence. You didn't land here by accident. This is your soul speaking, reminding you that you're not just here to heal, you're here to lead. You've felt the shift, the energy pulling you forward, even if you don't know exactly where it leads yet. Trust it, because this isn't just another phase, it's a calling, a sacred invitation to step into your next level. The world doesn't need more noise, it needs more light, your light. And if your heart is pounding right now, it's because it knows this is your moment. So say it, say yes. Write in the comments, I accept the role I was born to fulfill. Let this be your declaration. And if something in you still feels like this message isn't done, you're right, because your story continues. In the next video, we'll explore exactly why you've always felt different and what your soul came here to protect. Virgo, your next chapter begins now.